Get myself right, man. Before I get into this, this is episode one of a podcast I've decided to call Keeping It Transparent. My name is Joshua Roberts. Some of y'all know me as Josh. Some of y'all know me as Quan, depending on what you know me as. I can tell you where I met you at. But yeah, like I said, episode one of a podcast I've decided to call Keeping It Transparent. I've decided to call it that because a lot of niggas keep it solid, but solid ain't always the truth. At least on this platform that I'm going to create for myself. That's all I'm going to tell. As far as today, first episode is going to be about myself. And something that I kind of been going through for a while that I just want to get off my chest for a few reasons. For one, should be burning a hole in my heart just because it's something that I've been through. And two, just in conversations that I've had mainly with women, like I know it's, you feel me, men, you feel me, but I'm speaking specifically about kind of black men that come from, you feel me, the hood, come from the areas, you feel me, that we tend to come from. Like I know it's niggas going through this that just don't speak about it, bruh. And that subject is men and miscarriages, you feel me. It's obvious, you know what I'm saying, that women go through them. You hear about it all the time. Such and such was pregnant. She lost a baby. It be like that. But it don't just be like that, or at least, you feel me, not from my point of view. My own personal story as far as that. It's like about 7, 8 years ago. I had somebody pregnant. Girlfriend of mine at the time, an actual girlfriend of mine. We sat down, had a conversation, just decided like, yep, we gonna have a baby. And shit, she got pregnant, ended up with two. And the crazy thing about that, as far as twins, two babies, is I always wanted twins, like always. Since I was a kid, like I just always thought that shit was dope. Always been a confident person. That's one of the things I get complimented most about is my confidence. And even as a kid, like I just thought that I was so whatever I was that it would be dope if it was two of me. Like, and I just decided, like, yep, when I get older, like, I'm having twins. Like, I ain't know how none of that worked. I ain't know how babies came. I ain't know how, you feel me, none of that. I just knew I was having twins. And so, bland, fast forward, I'm like 22, 23. You feel me? And that's what's happening. And even still, like, I was excited, but I ain't necessarily show it. You feel me? 22, 23, I was ripping and running, doing whatever. A bunch of different shit. Running the streets, my partners partying, making money however I was making money. But at that point, you know what I'm saying, in the back of my mind, like I know I got this thing coming. Well, I ain't gonna say this thing, but yeah. So some months go forward, me and the girl break up, but I'm still, you feel me, do what I gotta do. I was raised by my dad for the most part. Pops raised 6, 7 kids. And if it's one thing I learned, bruh, you take care of your kids. That's what you do. You feel me? He always told me, you feel me, you have sex with somebody, that's a possibility. You gotta know that he can come. So when it came my turn, like I definitely wasn't gonna skirt my responsibilities. You feel me? And even when I was meeting people, you feel me, like specific case, I remember I met a girl that I'm still cool with to this day. You feel me? She like, you got a girl? I'm like, nah, but I got twins on the way though. You feel me? Like I'm letting it be known off rip because that's what's going on in my life. You feel me? When you meet people, I feel like you keep it solid because at that point y'all just met. Ain't nothing to lose. You feel me? If you don't like what I'm telling you. You feel me? With no disrespect. You feel me? Like we can both go our separate ways because we just met. But yeah, so it's not nothing I'm hiding or none of that. And so, but yeah, eventually she does end up miscarrying. And I felt a few different ways about it in the moment, but the thing I did in the immediate moment was just act like that shit didn't happen. Kept doing what I was doing, running the streets, partying. I think the only job I had might have been working club security, so I was doing a few other things. But yeah, I just kept with the program, whatever I'm doing. Kind of just didn't acknowledge it. You feel me? That's what niggas do. Uh, Even in like you think about it when people die. Of course, you go to the funeral, but after that, you go to what I'm saying, the house. People. It starts off as a remembrance of life. Ends up, what I'm saying, people getting high, people getting drunk. Not necessarily a party, but that's how people deal with pain. You feel me? But even as far as like my age at that time, you feel me? Like niggas, boy, your partner die, what you do? You get high, you get drunk. You feel me? Something good happen, what you do? You going to turn up. You feel me? Something fucked up happen, like what you roll up. You feel me? So that's kind of how I dealt with it. You feel me? Crossed my mind from time to time, and I would kind of just still put it to the back of my mind, keep doing what I'm doing, kind of just not acknowledging it. And then even with her, like, I mean, I talk about it, but at the same time, how I initially felt in that moment is like, what can I say? What can I do? You know what I'm saying? And I ain't never really been one to talk about what I feel or what I'm going through anyway. You know what I'm saying? That's how a lot of men tend to deal with what they go through. But I'm specifically speaking for myself. Like I ain't never been one to talk about what I'm going through for a few different reasons. It's like I don't necessarily feel like it helps. You know what I'm saying? Or that's how I felt in the moment when I'm going through a lot of stuff. But yeah, so it's not necessarily discussed with her a lot. You know what I'm saying? So looking back on it, I can see now like that's something it was messed up that I left her to deal with by herself, which I be feeling bad about too. But like specifically, kind of to get back on topic, men ain't going through that. It's a few different stages of that grief that I went through. You feel me? Like I said, the first part of it was kind of like acting like it didn't happen. Second part of it was kind of just like I said, you tend to get lost in, I don't know, trying to have fun to make sure that you don't think about it, which as a grown person, you feel me, for the most part, ends up being partying, going out, which is crazy, you know what I'm saying? Because I have been going back and forth about doing this, obviously, because like I just said, I'm not really want to talk about my problems, but I was texting a friend, matter of fact, last night, no bullshit, and I brought this up. I'm like, yeah, I'm kind of nervous about doing this podcast episode I'm gonna do because it's kind of a sensitive subject to myself. And she ended up telling me that it's crazy that I said that because a friend of hers just had a miscarriage, and the friend is upset because all the boyfriend is doing is just not acknowledging it. The nigga been going out and she just feel like he don't feel nothing. And it's like I kind of like I said I can only speak for myself, but having went through that, I'm like, nah, bro, that's not what that is. Like it looked like it. I mean, of course, like the nigga getting dressed and you feel me going out and all that, but it's like I'm like, bro, that's damn near a form of self medicating to me because like niggas don't know what to do with that. You feel me? Like I said, you grow up in certain situations, certain areas, like you you especially coming from broken homes and such, like you tend to learn how to survive more than live. You feel me? You gotta make it till here, till this come. You gotta do this. You gotta do that. Depending on your situations, you might be young. Like I think I paid my first bill 17, 18, and that's not even a brag or a speak to my pain. It's just the situation was what it was. You tend to learn how to survive. You feel me? Rather than live. And on the checklist of things to learn how to do to survive, you feel me? Like dealing with pain definitely ain't one of them. You feel me? You can't afford to. You feel me? You really don't want to let nobody see you cry. You feel me? Especially depending on what you're doing, like running around, like in certain situations. You feel me? You can't let niggas see you weak. That's like, you feel me? Sharks smelling blood in water. That's not gonna work. So you kind of just act like it don't happen. But I had to kind of tell her, like at least as far as me, like I was going out a lot when that happened, and I already was a person that tended to be out. And then, like I said, I worked in nightclubs as security. But it's like I was going out a lot, you feel me? But it's like that's not necessarily bro having fun. You feel me? It's like as a man, it's like you kind of don't know what else to do. You feel me? And then especially she said like bro ain't necessarily been talking to her. It's like I said, like you do not know what to say. And then a lot of the times, like initially, upon it being brought up, at least in my situation, like it would immediately cause her to cry. Like, and at that point, like it's like I definitely don't know what to say to you. You're already crying. I really don't want to talk about it. You really don't want to talk about it. And at the initial moment that it is brought up, um, that's what this turned into. You feel me? And that's definitely what a nigga be trying to avoid in the first place. That's why you act like shit didn't happen because it hurt. You feel me? Uh, and ultimately, like I said, that goes back to not knowing how to deal with what you feel. Uh, and even then, like I said, that's me being 23, 24, 25. So, for the most part, years go by. Like, and I think about it a couple times a year. But what really kind of would jar it every year is around like the due date, which was December. Like, and for years I could never figure out why. Like after Thanksgiving, like immediately after Thanksgiving, I go to feeling like shit. Holidays coming up, whether I'm around family or not. And then at first, even when I was around family, couldn't figure out why. But at 25, I moved to LA. Which is crazy because I was one of the reasons I was able to do that is because I ain't had no kids. Like when the opportunity came, like I had a lease house paying on and everything, like from LA, because I just up and decided to leave. But it was opportunity came that I wanted to pursue. So, but one of the reasons I was able to do that is because I don't have no kids. 28, like I live in Atlanta now. I've been out here damn near 3 years. I moved here at 28. One of the reasons I was able to do that is because I made, you feel me, the decision to leave where I was from, which is Sacramento, where I was raised. But I had no kids, I had no responsibilities that I was necessarily tied to other than a job, you feel me, which I could find wherever I'm going, wherever I feel like I want to move to. But, yeah, so every year around December, like my mood would just go to shit. And I'm talking about like the whole month. It don't matter, like, it's not about holidays or you feel me. People usually let holidays and tend to be excited because they know they're giving gifts, receiving gifts. Like it didn't matter what I was getting. Uh, like, and I've had some some lit adult Christmases. You know what I'm saying? As far as just lit, you feel me? But it's like did none of that matter? And for years I couldn't figure out why. Like just immediately after Thanksgiving, I'm talking about, boy, my whole mood just over with. Uh, and it finally hit me like last year. I'm talking about this like 6, 7 years later, like last year. Uh, like I said, I'm in Atlanta, and my partner, like I got family out here, but one of my partners hit me, and he like, bro, you can come over, you know what I'm saying, all that, and I'm like, nah, bro. I gave him some excuse, but it really wasn't no excuse. More so, it's just like it's really how I was feeling, but still couldn't figure out why. I hung up the phone and I kind of just sat there. I'm like, nigga, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, cause it's this every year now that I'm noticing. You feel me? Like, but one of the things that funnily enough, moving away from home has allowed me to do is like it's allowed me to reflect upon myself a lot. You feel me? Giving me a lot of time to kind of inspect my character and just me, you feel me, kind of the direction that I want to go, the type of man I want to be as far as some of the things that I want to do. And so, yeah, I kind of sat there, like, for a minute trying to figure out what it is and, like, and then, bam, it just hit me, like, and it kind of fucked me up, you feel me, because, like I said, I got a good memory. If you know me, like, I let you know, like, in certain instances, you feel me? Like, I'm not gonna let you tell me that you told me such and such or such and such happened because I got a good memory. Like, I've always had a good memory. My dad, his mom, my grandmother had Alzheimer's, and as a kid, I didn't know what that mean, but I didn't know what that meant, but I just knew that you couldn't remember nothing. So as from a kid on, I made it a point like I'm gonna remember. You feel me? Like that got me through school. Like my grades were always terrible, but my test scores was always high. Like high, because I could remember. Like I just didn't want to do no work, or well, in my case, like I had other things going on, but that was kind of school. I wasn't worried about school. But yeah, back to the subject. Like that was it kind of fucked me up because normally like I could remember everything, like, and then I even started remembering like it kind of hit me to the degree of which I made myself not remember because like I knew the due date was in December, but I couldn't necessarily remember the exact due date, which fucked me up even more. You know what I'm saying? And then it kind of messed me up because like I pride myself on like my memory. You feel me? Like it saved me in a lot of instances because I'm like, nah, bro, it did not go down like that or whatever. Whoever I'm talking to, like I'm letting you know specifically, and they be like, you right. You feel me? So it kind of messed me up because it's like, bro, I be remembering, but it's like I had kind of just ignored it for so long and blatantly ignored it though. You feel me? To the point to where it's like I couldn't recall things that in normal instances, you feel me, had the babies made like a nigga will remember. Like, nigga, my baby was born on such and such and such and such. Like, nigga, this such and such time. You feel me? Bro, weigh 7 pounds, 50. You feel me? Like, you remember all that. But, shit, I ain't necessarily remember none of that. You feel me? And, but coming out of the new year, of course, you know, you feel better. Or not necessarily because of the new year, but as far as just the way I process and deal with stuff. Like, even though I don't talk about things, I've never been one to necessarily kind of shy away from conversations with myself. Like I said, I was raised by my dad. He always told me, like, if there's one thing you got to do, or if it's one thing you can't do, it's run from yourself. You feel me? Because all that's going to lead, that'll lead to shit a road I can't tell you about because I don't necessarily do that. I have the tough conversations with myself before other people have them with me, even if those conversations still end up getting had. Like, at least I've had them with myself. But yeah, so time go by. You feel me? Coming into the new year, this year 2018. Like, it's been fucking with me all year. But at least like I now know why. You feel me? Like, or at least I know I got the answer to that December thing. But and it's just crazy because like all this year though, like, and I'm not necessarily one for baby fever. I don't get that, but I've been seeing twins everywhere. You feel me? And then even on social media, now you get online, people got the baby pages, the goal pages, and I'm not one of them people that necessarily be like, this is goals, that's goals, because shit, this is regular life. This shit happen to regular people. You feel me? That shit could happen to you. It just ain't your time yet. But yeah, and then even like I said, just with the kind of introspection of self that I've been doing, like I kind of got to a point to for just different reasons. I was ready to at least acknowledge, you feel me, that I definitely felt it, you feel me, and feel still going through that. Like, and it's crazy because like a couple days ago, like I reached out to the ex-girlfriend of mine who was pregnant, and for one, I apologized to her because, like I said, I realized that I really left her to go through that by herself, which I feel terrible about. And I expressed that to her, and I expressed a few different things to her, and it was crazy because, like, I'm assuming, like, and this is the communication thing, like, I was never really a good communicator of what I felt to other people, but I worked hard over the years. Like I said, I've always been a person to kind of try to work on myself, even if it doesn't necessarily outward reflect in the moment of how I deal with people. Try to work on myself. So like I worked hard to turn myself into an effective communicator. I don't necessarily say that like I'm the best communicator, but I try. You feel me? I at least try. Like I take, you feel me, responsibility for what I've done in situations, and I try to communicate how I felt or how I intended to make you feel, even if that's not how you felt. And I try to, you know what I'm saying? I try to acknowledge that. That's what I've worked on. But me, just all these years, like I assumed she knew how I felt. I assumed she knew that, you feel me, like I was hurt. I assumed she knew. And one of the first things she said was like, even to this day, like she always just wondered like how I felt, like if the shit bothered me. Cause like I said, in the moment how I carried on, especially how I was carrying on, like I'm getting dressed, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, like I'm still going to do this. I still gotta go do this. Like, yeah, I know this just happened, but I nigga gotta go make this happen, like, or shit, yeah, this just happened, but I'm finna go slide with my niggas. We about to, like, you feel me? I was still doing all that, you feel me? So it's like, I never told her, like, this fucked me up, you feel me? Or we never did have that conversation, because, like I said, it was just in the immediate beginning be tears, but shit, what else was it gonna be? You feel me? Like, there's a lot of things that you feel me. For one, like I said, I just didn't know how to communicate, but also like communication is not just talking, uh, and with women especially, body language, all that. You know what I'm saying? Like there was a lot more I could have done. You feel me? As far as just being there for her, even if we wasn't together. You feel me? Because I've never necessarily been one to be like the fuck you break up. You feel me? Like I've had some situations that I kind of went left, but even like in the today and present, like I'm still cool with people that I've dealt with. You feel me? Everybody got their situations where it's like, nah, man. But I have very few of those. You feel me? So it's like even in not being with her, you feel me? Like it's a lot more that I could have done. You feel me? And I'm not one to play the blame game. You feel me? So it's like I'm not even gonna say it's a lot more that she could have done because it's like physically she went through it. You feel me? Uh, but like I said, that just wasn't something that in the moment, you feel me, I was necessarily prepared to kind of just go through and or acknowledge. You feel me? Didn't know how to. Like, and then even getting older, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's funny because people always ask you the question is like, what do you want to do and what do you want to be or what do you want to? You saying what did you want when you was younger? It's like, and that's not to say that whenever I do have kids, it's like, hey, twins won't come, but it's like whatever. As far as that, because that's not what I'm focused on at this moment. At this point in time, I have other things that I want to do with my life. But as far as like, you know what I'm saying, what did you want? Like my answer to that is like that would never even come up in my, you feel me, answer is like what did you want when you were younger? But it's like that's thinking about it, you feel me, it's like all the kind of things that you see what I'm saying, like you get older, you gain perspective, you gain kind of more knowledge of self if you're one of those type of people that kind of want to figure yourself out more, which I can see that some people don't, and I'm not knocking the people that don't, because in trying to figure myself out, like, boy, it's a lot of hard conversations that you got to have with yourself, like a lot of truth telling that you have to do with yourself that maybe some people don't want to do. Like it's easy to sit there and bullshit with your partner, your belly, your parent, anybody. You can tell a bald face, blatant lie to with a straight face. You feel me? If you one of them people that can just, nah, man, I ain't. You feel me? If you one of them, then you can do that, but you can't do it with yourself. And it's a lot of other things that you can do with your time, other than sit there and just do that with yourself. But me, I'm kind of one of the people that even if I don't express it outwardly, like whatever I'm going through, if my day was bad, as far as something real happening or a situation where I'm hurt or I really feel like in the moment, I got this saying I always say, eat it. You feel me? Like so. Uh, at least go through it. Don't run from it. Go through it so you can get through it, even if you don't necessarily express it. Now, in certain situations, things like this linger, but just in general, you feel me? Like eat it. You feel me? So if it's something that you don't want to go through again, learn from it. You feel me? Because I feel like that's the best way for me to kind of make sure that those certain type of things don't happen again. So I definitely don't run from it. But kind of like now, as far as getting it out, it's like I said, in certain cases like this, it's not something that you can just eat and just go through it, get through it. Cause like to this day, like I still go through it. I told her, you feel me? Like I cried twice in December, and that's the first time I can remember crying about it. Like, and this happened 7, 8 years ago, and I'm not a big crier. Like I'm not saying that from a hella be manly standpoint, because I don't be with the over tough guy shit. Like anybody that know me, I like to have fun. I joke around a lot, and like I said, this is episode 1 of a podcast that I intend to do. So it's gonna be, you know what I'm saying, a lot of that for, like I said, the people that know me, and for the people that don't, you will see that, I have a different sense of humor, but I like to laugh, I like to joke. But as far as this, it's kind of not something that you can just eat and get over, you know what I'm saying. But at the same time, like I said, I also chose to talk about it and deal with it now because I know it's not just me, you know what I mean, and I know it's men. You feel me? I guarantee partners that I know that might not even, you know what I'm saying, we didn't talk about it a lot. You feel me? Like men will talk about it a lot. You sit around, you talk about your partner, you talk about women, sports, money, how you get your money, how you do whatever. You know what I'm saying? Talk about your kids that you got, how your kids, how you know what I'm saying. But like I said, this ain't a conversation that comes. I ain't never outside of me telling the few people of mine that I done talked about with this too, and it ain't been much. You feel me? It ain't been many people I done told about this, and the conversation that we had, it really wasn't like no in-depth conversation as far as me getting it out, especially like to a camera, which I'm gonna put out to people to be able to see. But it's not a conversation that come up. You feel me? Like, and I know, like I said, I know it's not just me. And then, like I said, in that thinking, that line of thinking, it said, like I said, I was just texting my friend like literally last night, and that kind of was like confirmation, like I'm supposed to do this, cause like I said, Brett going through that right now. Like, you feel me? She just told me like, yeah, all Brett doing is going like, and I kind of had to tell her like, that's right. I'm not saying it's right. You know what I'm saying? It's not me justifying it as far as how men, especially like you feel me, like niggas that grow up in the hood or niggas that grow up in certain situations, you feel me, tend to deal with their problems. What it's like I said, your partner dies, family, you feel me, like it's all a form of self medicating. You feel me? You don't necessarily know how to talk about it, especially like I said, like I wasn't even at the time that I went through it. I wasn't somebody that could have sat down and had a conversation like this, or the conversations that I had to have with myself with anybody. You feel me? Let alone, like I said, on a platform like that people can see. And I don't know, bruh. I don't speak for other men. I make it a, you feel me, specific thing in my life, not to try to speak for nobody but myself. But it's like I kind of made the decision to also do this because it's like I know it's people going through it that can't necessarily articulate it or get it out. Not saying that they don't have the capabilities, but it's like they're not necessarily in a position where they even know how to say how they feel about it. Because I wasn't for a long time, even with myself, let alone with other people. But I would always feel it. Like I said, you feel it, you go through it. You feel me? Depending on what your situations was, like I said, my specific situation uh, just happened to coincide with the holidays. You know what I'm saying? And it's like people would notice it. You know what I'm saying? Like as you can see, I kind of have a serious face and I'm bald, so like off top, I already look more serious than I am all the time, which I'm not. But you know what I'm saying? It's like people notice it. You know what I'm saying? And in my face frown, like, what's wrong with you? Like, and I'm good for the nothing. I'm good, bro. My face always, my face. Like, and I literally been at getting asked. I always get asked, even as a kid, like, what's wrong with you? Like, and literally nothing can be wrong. But when something is wrong with me, you can see it on my face. I don't necessarily try to hide it because ultimately, like I said, I know you can't make me talk if I don't want to. But like I said, in this specific case, I know it's not just me that went through it. Is still going through it because, like I said, in my own ways, I still kind of gotta find ways to deal with it. Like I said, it helped that I reached out to her because we had a kind of more in-depth conversation about it than we had ever had before. Uh, and then, like she said, like which was crazy to me because, like I said, me assuming I'm thinking she knowing I care, thinking at least knowing that I felt some type of way about it. But the only way people know that you feel anything in this life, you feel me, is communication. You know what I mean? I'm just at a point in my life where, like I said, I've worked to turn myself into an effective communicator. You know what I'm saying? Realizing that in every situation, I'm not right. I wasn't right. I didn't make the right decision. You know what I'm saying? Uh, Not speaking for other situations in which I do, because that's not what this is about. You know what I mean? And so, like, in that situation, I kind of wanted to reach out and let her know, like, uh, shit, I've had time on time on time to sit there and think about it, and I definitely didn't go about that the right way. And I can say, like, in not even necessarily just saying it because, just to say it, but getting it out, I do feel better than I felt as far as just feeling like shit in December. You feel me? But I know that's something I'm always going to carry. Like a lot of things in life that people go through, you know what I'm saying? You don't never fully be over certain things. It's just you learn to carry it better. And that's necessary. Or kind of really, all I've been looking to do with this specific aspect or this specific thing that I went through. Because kind of just sitting on the silence and just sitting on it and kind of just not acknowledging it wasn't working for me. Like that kind of, like, that type of thing repeatedly, as far like not in one specific instance, because me, I feel like I'm a mentally tough person. I've been through whatever I've been through. I don't break easy, and I don't necessarily feel like I have a breaking point. I have a thing I say where women are encouraged, you know what I'm saying, to acknowledge their breaking point, and men can't afford to know theirs. And I don't necessarily have a problem with that, but I do believe that's true because, like I said, as a man, you have to do certain things, and knowing or feeling like it's certain shit that you can't do and having a limit like that's gonna hold you back from a lot. So I don't necessarily feel like I have a breaking point, but I have learned that expressing what you feel is a way to make sure you don't reach that breaking point. You know what I'm saying, or reach a breaking point. Uh, because, like I said, just sitting on, at least specifically for me, sitting on it and kind of just not even just for this incident, but just things that I go through. You know what I'm saying? Because I've been through other things and I've reached out to people and had certain conversations, you feel me, that I needed to have for myself. To kind of get over things, get over shit. Because, like I said, even something like this is something that I would want to do, but it's like in wanting to do it, I would want to do it the right way. Like I said, I want to call this keeping it transparent, regardless of what I'm talking about. I could be joking around, talking about whatever, but it's gonna be how I really feel about that subject. You know what I'm saying? Without, you know what I'm saying, necessarily feeling like I gotta sugarcoat it. Even if I'm necessarily, you feel me, talking about whatever, telling stories. I've never been a name dropper, so it's not necessarily a such and such did this, but I'm gonna tell it how it happened. You know what I mean? But I wouldn't be able to do that if I wasn't willing to talk about stuff like this. You know what I'm saying? Because, like I said, everything in life is not a joke. Everything's not ha ha. You know what I mean? And then, like I said, just it kind of just hit me as far as one day, like, yeah, I'm going through this, but it's like what really made me, you feel me, kind of give me the idea to do this or at least talk about this too. Is I jumped online one day and I just men and miscarriages. I just typed it in. You feel me? Because I'm like, I can't be the only one going through this, or I know I'm not, but I'm like, let me see what other people got to say. And like I eventually found something, but man, it took me a minute to, boy, it took me a minute, like, to just find something that I felt like one was enough perspectives of different men. You feel me? Because like you could read one story, but I kind of wanted to get a sense of what men, plural, was feeling. And then two, like, I couldn't really find nothing that I related to as far as people talking about how they dealt with it, and then not necessarily no stories that sounded like mine. You feel me? And I'm not. Of course I'm reading print, so I'm not knowing whether these people is black or white. So I'm not necessarily looking at it from a color thing. You feel me? I'm looking at it from a standpoint of like, did anybody kind of like drown it out? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, kind of, you know what I'm saying? Like, how did you? When I say deal with it, I don't even necessarily mean like, okay, just acknowledge it in the moment. Some men may have, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not married, I'm not any of that, so like, I'm not waking up day to day with a woman who had, you know what I'm saying, who went through that. But specifically speaking for somebody that was single, kind of like just moving how I was moving, like I couldn't find none of that. And then, like I said, just sitting around with your partners, you feel me, sitting around with, and then even just the extended amount of people that you know. Like I knew a lot of people where I'm from, you know what I'm saying? And even in Atlanta, like I've been here damn near 3 years now. I done met people that I knew from back home, you feel me? I done met hella people. And it's like, boy, you have conversations about everything. You sitting around with niggas, you feel me? You talk about money, you talk about what you about to do, you talk about, you feel me? Hey, this girl, that girl, you feel me? If you sitting around with, you talk about everything, you feel me? But this don't never come up, you feel me? It's a billion people on this planet. I know I ain't the only nigga going through it, you feel me? And like I said, just like for a few different reasons, kind of wanted to get it out. And then two, like I said, within starting this podcast, wanted to kind of start it off with something real. You know what I'm saying? Keeping it transparent. Uh, you know, like I said, it's gonna be what a lot of podcasts are, and not necessarily saying the same, but I'm gonna talk my shit. You know what I'm saying? Be able to kind of express myself in the way that I want to express myself, but uh, kind of especially just coming from out of that. Like it's what January 7th, I think. I could be wrong. Yesterday was my Friday, so y'all know how that work thing be. You just get through that thing, wake up the next day, figure out what day it is. But yeah, so especially just coming out of December, like it's been heavy on my heart, and then kind of like I said, in talking to her, and then like I said, just talking to a friend of mine about something else, you know what I'm saying, and then just brought it up like, yeah, I'm kind of, cause like I ain't gonna lie, like, even shit, I woke up this morning still going back and forth, like, am I really gonna sit down and just do this? But ultimately, you know what I'm saying, I don't, wasn't no reason to keep, you know what I'm saying, skirting it or running from it. I chose to deal with it, and that's what I'm doing. And in that, I kind of want to just shed light on at least how I felt going through it, and even like how some of y'all could be feeling now. Like I said, I talked to my friend. I didn't necessarily, like I said, I didn't speak for him. I didn't tell her that like, oh yeah, so tell your friend this is what I went through, because like I said, that Brett could be going through something totally different than what I'm going through. But at the same, having went through that, like I can at least, like she said, she was even wondering like the girl saying like, do Brett feel anything? Like I can at least say like it's not all what it look like. Like I can't speak for nobody or sit down and say when who's ready to have a conversation, but like the specific topic, men and miscarriages, like you feel it, you just don't know how to express it. And so it's a cliche saying for when people do anything, but shit, if this can help one person reach one person, then you feel me? I feel confident in what I've expressed and all my reasons for doing it. And so, yeah, for those that know me, that's kind of something that I've been through. For those that don't, you know what I'm saying? Appreciate you for kind of tuning in. And episode 1, keeping it transparent. Boy, I definitely did hell of that, because this definitely ain't nothing that was easy for me to talk about at all. But like I said, it was time for me, or it's time for me to kind of try to really work through that. So that's what that is.